So AI is taking over your job, or is it? What if you can, instead of being fearful in these uncertain times, what if you instead can weaponize yourself and upskill what you already do? You can stack those skills to become irreplaceable. See, that's the thought that I had a few weeks ago, and I set out on a mission to figure out how I can master AI, use it to my advantage, use it in my business, and then scale my business to be ahead of the curve and not be replaced. So if that's something that you're interested in, let's go through a crash course, start to finish, how you can use AI to start your own business or even strengthen the skills that you have right now in your job. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I have in my mind is when I go on this journey, right? I was watching a few videos on YouTube. I saw this guy talking about AI, how it's gonna change everything. And he mentioned something very specific. He said, ChatGPT right now, which is all the hype, is only up to 2021 and it's called GPT-3, which means that they only have in their knowledge base, they have information up to 2021 and it's this small compared to GPT-4, which is gonna be 1,000 times more information, making AI way more powerful than it is right now. So if you're asking yourself already like, well, this is pretty good. Is this gonna replace me? If you're a copywriter, designer, or web designer, funnel builder, all these things, you're asking yourself these questions already, like imagine where this will be in 6 months from now, in 12 months from now, right? So the question should be on my mind, on your mind, how do I just become better at AI? And if you're a business owner, you should probably ask yourself, how do I automate some things? How do I scale things? How do I make things faster and easier for my team? Instead of replacing them, how can they use AI to become 2.0 versions of themselves, right? So team members on steroids. That's kind of the mindset that you want to have. Let's start with an ebook that I created. It's called 101 Funnel Prompts. You can copy my 8-step framework for generating high converting sales copy using AI. But quick disclaimer here before we dive in, because this is not just sales copy. This is understanding how to use AI and then maybe brainstorm ideas, maybe automate things, maybe, prompt engineer, maybe reverse prompt engineer, where you say, hey, here's something that's worked in the past. Let's feed this to the machine and get an outcome, a template that I can use for anything, that anyone can use for anything. So the reason why I started doing this is also, number one, yes, I don't want to be replaced myself, but also I have thousands of customers in my education company of people who are freelancers and funnel builders and web design, and they're working with clients and they have these fears like, what if I'm going to be replaced? What if I'm not good enough at what I do and AI can do the same thing for cheaper, faster with a click of a button, right? So I'm like, okay, how do I simplify things? And so I spent a few weeks just diving deep and creating, prompts and templates and scripts that you can use in your business. And I'm going to give it away to you for free in this crash course. So introduction, why I started this. So personally, I've built over 500 sales funnels for clients all over the world, including, brands like Tony Robbins, Graziosi, Brunson. It comes from experience and not just theory. It's not just telling AI to write a sales copy, sales letter for my landing page or funnel website. It goes way deeper than that. It's, actually more about how you can use it to write in your style and in your voice rather than just generic copy. We have common AI terms. So AI is obviously artificial intelligence. And then prompt just basically means the input data feeding the AI. So what you tell it to do or ask from it. And then prompting is where you feed the right inputs to get specific outputs. And then prompt engineering is where you optimize and expand the inputs based on the outputs you get, right? And then reverse prompt engineering is where you ask for prompt templates and formulas based on inserted text. You can feed it. So imagine this. Imagine you're Russell Brunson. You have this vault of 20 years of high converting sales copy via sales, and you have sales funnels from the past, and you have letters that were sent out in mail. All these things that they were generating millions of dollars. What you can do with AI is you can feed it this group of text, or let's say it's a blog. You can feed it blog posts and you can say, hey, study this, understand it, create a persona for it, and then I'm gonna ask you to write a sales letter later. And you ask it, do you understand? Is that understood? In fact, if we look at ChatGPT here, where I asked it, hey, you can write in Gusten's style, it says, of course. And then I said, hey, I'll feed you a few social media posts. It said, great, I would be happy to use those as reference. Please go ahead and provide me with sample posts. And then I had 3 different posts And I even argue with ChatGPT a little bit because when I fed the first one, even though it said understood, it kept, or it started rewriting them. And so I just said, no, don't rewrite them yet. Just study them to understand the voice and style of writing. Then reply with understood after you read what I feed you. And it just said understood. So then I fed it 2 more posts, understood. Let's do 1 more, sure thing. Please go ahead and share another post. And so I did 3 of them. And then from there, we can get a writing style. And that's what it has here. So awesome. Now explain to me a summary of the style of writing you read. So now, can you write in Gusten Sun's voice? It says, yes, I can write in Gusten Sun's voice based on the examples you've provided. And so that's where you're starting with the reverse prompt engineering. Why context is so important before you start using it. And then machine learning obviously is the machine behind this that goes into the knowledge base and knows how to take all this information, filter it, and generate copy for you. And so algorithms and statistical models that enable computers to learn from data, improve their performance on a specific task over time, and make predictions or decisions based on that data. And guess where I found that description? In ChatGPT, yes. So language model is ChatGPT. That software is like, Jasper or WriteSonic and all these, tools that use generative intelligence to find copy and then generate new copy based on what you want from it, right? So that's the 2 different types of copy is factual intelligence versus generative intelligence. Factual is more, focusing on finding information and answers, and then generative is more finding copy and generating copy based on formulas for you. So the system then that I've created and how you can start implementing this into your business is frameworks. So you ask what it would prefer that you feed it. Context, you provide context about your business, your offers, and then you assign roles. I'll give you a few examples here in a second, or a lot of examples, but you tell it what profession or specialist it is so they can know from the context and the role what you exactly want. Because if it's a stand-up comedian or a storyteller or a producer, it's going to write differently than if you say you're a persuasive direct response copywriter. And then you can brainstorm for ideas and stuff like that, headlines, angles, stories. And then we have prompt engineering, formulas, and reverse prompt engineering. I have examples in all of this. I'll leave a link to this free ebook. We already have 1,100 people have downloaded this in one day. If I update it might even be more now. So 9 more people in a few minutes. This is crushing right now and people are loving it. So it's free before we start charging for it. You can get in the description below. But what you want to do is when you start, you want to ask, like literally communicate with ChatGPT like it's someone on my team. Like, hey, what are some frameworks you want me to use when feeding you prompt so we can get the best outcomes and not just generic copy? And then he said, be clear, very specific in your prompt. You want to provide context. You want to ask open-ended questions, and then you want to use natural language and be patient. So meaning tweaking and asking more, diving deeper, that sort of thing. So let's start with the context. Here's a few examples of things you can mention then. So who you are, what your business name is, what problems you solve, what pain points your customers usually have. You can even go deeper and say like, what are some fears and pain points that customers feel internally, but they're too afraid to mention publicly. And then you'll get something that's more specific that you can use in your sales copy, your messaging, content, ads, all of that, even sales calls. Then what solution do you sell to solve those problems? What benefits, what impact, what internal emotions, what your offers are, and go deeper on them. How it's been helping people, what others have said, right? So you can understand, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's what other people are saying. So now when you ask for ads or copy, content, sales page, sales letters, everything, it just has a lot of context. Even your backstory, you can say, hey, before we write anything, let me just tell you my backstory. And then within the chat, right, you keep going, you have everything here. It can actually learn from, it saves up and has that context when it writes new stuff. I even asked ChatGPT like, hey, within an account, can you read multiple chats? You can see here all these chats and it says, yes, I can understand it. But it's also good to remind me and give me feedback, updated context consistently. So maybe once a month you want to do that. You want to test the output. And then you want to assign the roles. So I'm not going to go too deep into all of these categories, but these are the main ones for business owners. And then let's say business consulting, you want to ask it, to act as a consultant for this business so that it can position as sort of like an advice giver, advisor. Financial analyst, project manager, just give a context, and then you can say as well, like act as a script writer for my YouTube videos, or act as a blog writer. These are basic stuff. And so this is just the first step before you actually start feeding it prompts. Here's a few examples on those categories and what they can do. Business consulting, write a sales page for a business consulting service that helps small businesses increase their profits. In fact, if we just want a template of this, we can just go new chat. I have legacy, I have the plus version of it. So this is without any other context than what I've already fed it. But what it does, it'll just generate like a basic generic template that you can use in any business. So a lot of times with AI is going to ask questions that are either yes or no in the beginning. What you don't want to do in copy is make someone leave because they say the wrong answer in their mind in the first question. So a lot of times you'll get you'll get direct questions in the intro, like, are you tired of struggling to increase profits in your business? And instead you could say something like, if you're tired of struggling to increase profits, if you're this, if you're that. And so you're just you're inviting them into the sales script versus asking a question that can make them go, this feels like an infomercial, this is not for me. And you're making their brain think rather than just listen and follow along. So we have a lot of examples. I won't go too deep into all of these, but you can get the free ebook in the description. And then we have for all these categories. Now let's talk a little bit more about prompt engineering. So a bad example of just getting copy is just feeding it a prompt and expecting it to understand your business. So if you say write sales copy for my funnel agency, then it doesn't understand the full context of why you're different. For an example, you can even feed it and say, the reason why we're different than other consultants is because we go in and we study your business for a week, and we look at your offer, your messaging, your sales funnel, your website, and your blog, and we study all of that to generate and create this new sales process. So when it has that feedback, that context, it can obviously create better outputs. So the output can only be as good as the input. So here's an example of a good prompt thread. I tell it a little bit about the offer in my funnel agency, and I say, does that make sense so far? And you can see, yes, that makes sense. And then I say, I use Facebook content marketing mainly for lead generation, so organic marketing. Can you give me a few ideas for content and post to get more people reaching out to me asking for my services? And then it says you can share success stories or case studies. Already done that for years. You can offer tips and advice on sales funnel building, copy and design. Already done that for years. Share behind the scenes glimpse of your process. Done. Run a Facebook live Q&A. Haven't done a lot of those actually. More so on YouTube a little bit. Offer a free lead magnet. Done those. Share testimonials. Done those. One from Russell Brunson. Host a contest giveaway related to sales funnel building. Haven't done a giveaway, so that could, I give away templates, but not a viral giveaway where you're like, hey, you get this if you share it and sort of create virality. So this is more used to brainstorm. And then we say, thanks. Let's start with the free lead magnet you suggest. What are some lead magnets you think business owners would benefit from? And then it creates this checklist of, and you can even tell it, like, make a checklist of things. And then it's, an ebook, checklist, webinar, free trial, free consulting session, case study, a quiz. That's a good one. And I say, let's create an ebook with a checklist of all things conversion rate optimization. Act as a highly experienced copywriter from a successful funnel agency and give me a bullet point list of things we can do to improve conversions on websites, landing pages, and sales funnels. Write them as a checklist. And then we go through, and here's a checklist. Now, I would personally add a few things in here, but just for time's sake, I'll continue and kind of show you the process instead of like the actual CRO process. So then I expand on the prompt. Thanks, this is a really good start. Now let's create a title for the ebook, but make it something that's instantly attention grabbing for course creators wanting to monetize expertise with sales funnels. Write 10 headlines and I'll pick a few that we can expand on from there to get more options. Right, so we have the context of who we are, who we help, and then I say what they want is to monetize the expertise with sales funnels. So write 10 headlines on that. Got 10 headlines. I say rewrite these two, but in a fear-based format. So context again, and the output wanting to be in a negative sort of what they can lose rather than what they can gain. So when you split this, you want to see, hey, do people actually want to make money, or are they afraid of losing their job? And so this is more pulling from a negative or positive angle. So rewrite these two from zero to sales. And then I have like 10 tips to avoid missing out on course sales, 10 tips to stop leaving money on the table as a course creator, course creator's guide to maximum conversions. And then I say, I can just keep going. Turn it into a social media post. So use the context above and then, write in the style of Russell Brunson, make it sound like more I'm talking to friends, not trying to sell anything. Hey guys, so it's more friendly. And then I say, rewrite in another style. Dan Kennedy for people 45 to 55. Sure, listen up fellas, I got some big news that could really impact your bottom line. If you're a course creator looking to boost your sales, you need to check out my new ebook. It's packed with 10 tips on how to build high converting sales funnels, so on and so forth. So the copy, the voice, and the style of writing is different. Thanks, I like this one. Now let's turn it into an email newsletter. But rewrite the intro of the email to be more for those who have subscribed to the Crushing Course Sales newsletter. New ebook, 10 tips, so that's the subject line. As a subscriber to our Crushing Course Sales newsletter, you're clearly someone who's serious about taking your course business to the next level. That's why I'm excited to share this with you. In this ebook, you'll get 10 tips, blah, blah. The best part is it's completely free. So a few examples, because I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, that doesn't feel, super personal. Like it's generic because AI generated it and it's not from your personal story. Maybe you had a client that you work with, you want to share a tip from that. So you can add in when you have the 90% of the email, the content post or the video script, you can go in and add the intro to be your hook. So I had a meeting with a client yesterday and we talked about CRO. And one of the tweaks we've done lately has helped them generate 200% more leads or whatever it is, right? So there's a few examples for you to add in there. And then you can also, like I said in the intro, you can feed it text and then it can create an outline. It can create a template. It can create a formula. And so I did that for the sales script and then also for the headlines for the ebook. So here's an outline, here's a formula for the headlines. And there's a lot in this ebook. And again, it's free. So you can just get in the description. I have examples of how to ask for prompts as well. So hey, ChatGPT, if I'm in the entrepreneurship industry and I want to have a podcast and the topics are starting a business, marketing strategies, overcoming challenges, scaling a business, like what are some prompts that I can feed you so you can give me the great outputs that I need to build my business? So it says, hey, an example is you can give me this prompt. Can you give me ideas for a podcast about these topics? Or can you give me ideas for a podcast about small business ownership, perhaps covering topics like financing options, hiring employees, time management. So it can expand on what you fed it without you having to feed it new information. So it's not just a rewriter, it's also a second brain to your business. So we have restaurant, mental health, sleep coach, and then I have a lot of copywriting frameworks for you can use. So you can even say when you have copy from it, you can say, can you rewrite this in the PAS framework or the EPIC framework or the hook story offer or ADA, attention, interest, desire, action. And that's used a lot for landing pages and that sort of thing. So hopefully this is helpful. If you want to learn more, we got resources in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.